Welcome back to the Patricia Show. Now, our next guest has pretty much been a jack of all trades, which is not such a bad thing when you're young. What's more, his voice is, well, it's like butter. So let's welcome up-and-coming musician Kevin Mbugua. Take a seat, take a seat, take a seat.
Thank you.
Welcome to the show.
Nice new couch.
Nice new couch.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Rampelberg.
Mr. Rampelberg.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Good to be here.
Okay, look, this jack of all trades thing.
Yes.
What's all the stuff that you've been doing? I've heard hotelier, so you worked in a magazine.
Well, what happened was when I decided to take a break from college, a sabbatical, that was supposed to last about 3 months, ended up going into about 2 years.
Yeah.
So when I got back here, I realized that a lot of things work differently. You know, values for people were very different than what they were in Boston.
Yeah.
And so I decided to go about trying my hand at different things, mainly to try and see if there was, you know, something singular that I could take from that experience.
Okay.
So I started out and I taught for a while. I was a high school music teacher.
Were you?
Toughest gig ever.
Really?
Actually, the first week I did that, I went to my primary school to go to apologize to my old teachers for being tough.
I like this young man.
I did. No, seriously, that is, yeah, it's a tough job.
Yeah.
And then I got into radio for a little while.
Yes.
Did that for a while.
Yeah.
How
was that? What did you think of that?
It was strange, you know. It's sort of being in that space and, you know, I feel like you kind of go crazy, you know. In a confined space, you're talking to a microphone.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you know, it was...
Did you do the visualizing thing? Because I used to, when I was in radio, I visualized my best friend, like I was talking to her.
I should have had that
conversation. And then the
with you.
rest was just like, okay, whatever. I don't know who's listening, but I'm talking to my best friend right now.
Advice I could have used back then. But that was, you know, it was a brief stint. And then I decided to just up and move to Lamu. Which,
well, that's not a bad place to
really
hang out and live.
No. And being that, you know, I was from Mombasa, I hadn't really seen a lot of the coast. So I pitched up in Lamu and got work at this hotel in guest relations, which basically meant that I was bartending and DJing and just asking people how they were doing.
It was just a fancy title.
It really was. It really was.
Okay.
Did that, and then the last major gig I had was with the magazines, East African magazines. I worked for Adam magazine and Drum magazine as a style editor and fashion shoot producer.
Okay.
So that was the hotel gig, and I did that for a few months.
Okay.
It was during the festive season, so it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And you know, you're sort of surprised at the sort of people who pop up into Lamu.
Well, this is it.
It really is incredible.
Actually, hang on a minute.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I know where you're going.
No,
with this.
someone. Okay, I thought no, I'm not going to ask this, but now that you've mentioned it,
but I'm not going to say.
Why not?
Because I can't divulge that information.
Okay, the thing is, apparently there was some big movie star. It was in Lamu, wasn't it? Some movie star that he met, and I don't know, I suppose they got a little bit amorous. But he's refusing to say, he's refusing to divulge.
Won't say, can't say, no.
Won't say, can't say.
Stays in the vault.
All right,
yeah.
I respect that. Okay, so what happened after that, after Lamu?
After Lamu, there was a little lull. Just sort of chilling in Mombasa, trying to figure out what the next step was.
Yeah.
At that time, the itch to go back to school was also sort of like creeping up.
But that's always the easiest thing to do, isn't it?
It really is.
Yeah, go back to school, perpetual student. I don't understand that, but yeah.
It's not a bad situation.
It's not a bad gig?
No, not at all. I sort of fell into the whole magazine thing, because I did a photo shoot when I started performing with my friend Barbara, who's a great photographer, and those got into the hands of the editor of Adam magazine at the time.
Okay.
Happened to be looking for a style editor. They put those two things together.
And they were like, hey, presto.
Yeah, and they're like, can you do it? I was like, okay. And we just went, and I ended up doing that for about a year and a half.
But I always like that, keeping yourself open to things. Because that's exactly what happened to me and coming back home to Kenya. And I fell into media, literally fell into it. I had never thought that I would do it. Yeah. And then ended up in radio. I was like, well, the program controller seems to think I can do it, so let's do it.
Right, you know.
And let's see what happens.
Absolutely.
What's there to lose? There's nothing to lose.
And you always take up stuff when you take a certain road, and you'll pick up things that you wouldn't even have thought would come your way.
Yeah.
And like I said, the most important thing for me is, after all these different experiences, it was about sort of distilling what the essence of working in Kenya was. Because I knew I wanted to move back here. Yeah. But I knew I had to understand it before I did.
Okay, so how did you get into music then?
Starts with a piano that was in the living room at home. was for my older sister,
yeah.
who played classical piano. I'd never touched it before. Now, apparently, the story is one day my parents are sitting and watching television.
Yeah.
And I'm 4 years old at the time. I walk out of the room, I open the piano, I sit down, I play the national anthem, from start to end. I close it, and I go back to the room. Yeah. And that was because...
Were you half asleep or what?
Sleepwalk/sleep playing. No, and the thing was, you remember old VOK when you used to start at 4 o'clock?
The Voice of Kenya,
and it would always start with the national anthem.
The national anthem.
So apparently I was just picking this stuff up. And I picked it up to a point where I was able to just sit down and play it out.
And play it.
And all through sort of my experience as a musician, that's one thing that really stands out for a lot of people. When I listen to a song and I sit in the piano and play.
And you just pick it up.
And for me, really, it's a very natural thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, it really is.
So are you still playing, instruments, or are you just focusing on the singing now?
Oh, no. I play piano, I play guitar, I play a bit of bass.
Good Lord.
Yeah, it helps, especially if you're not just a singer, but if you're a writer.
Yeah.
Then you need to be thinking about, that instrument and what exactly they're trying to put across.
Like and what, yeah.
So that's...
Okay, and then, of course, you've chosen neo-soul as a genre, and we're always boxing things into genres and saying it's this, that, and the other. Are you comfortable with that? No, I mean...
Brand me that. No, I'm all right with it. I mean, the neo-soul thing came about because the radio show that played my music happens to be neo-soul format.
Okay.
They actually took a bit of a risk, I think, because my music isn't necessarily that. I mean, the one song Elsewhere that played on radio quite a bit probably leans closest toward that.
Okay. But were you excited about that? The first time you heard your song on radio, it's like, that's me!
It's surreal, yeah. It's surreal. Actually, it was not so much the first time, because I'd heard my stuff played on radio a few years before that.
Okay.
But the thing that really just sort of, it was the most exciting moment, I think, was because the song was being put up against another song that week. So people have to call in, write in, vote.
Which one should be the winner?
Right. So the next Sunday, it's 11:27 exactly, and I'm sitting at the radio, and sure enough, my name pops up, and I squealed like a 12-year-old girl,
Nice.
And that was, that's a memorable one, definitely, yeah.
Oh, cool, that's really great. So what are you going to sing for us today?
I'm going to do Elsewhere. It's a song I just talked about. It really just sort of, people really took it to heart.
Yeah.
It's one of those songs that was written at 3 o'clock in the morning, with a candle.
Yeah, is that when inspiration comes?
Yeah, one of those things where, I hadn't written for about 4 months, and I sat at it's all these moments where I sit at the piano and just sort of let it happen, which is very rare for a musician. Like one of my favorite songwriters, Sarah McLachlan, she says it perfectly. She says songwriting, for the most part, is like extracting blood from a stone. It's really hard work.
Yeah.
It's meticulous work, but sometimes the universe just sort of like opens up and presents something to you.
Yeah.
And you just go with it. And Elsewhere was that kind of song.
Brilliant. Can't wait to hear this.
Excellent.
Kevin Mbugua, ladies and gentlemen. Now that's all we have time for today. Thank you to all my guests and to you at home for watching, of course. Stay well, be happy, and ever thankful. Let's welcome Kevin Mbugua to play us out with the songs Elsewhere. Bye-bye. Bye-bye for now.
Seen a lot of lies, leave love berated in a world that's gotten jaded since the hourglass we traded for the sands of time. Been to Paris twice since we vacated. How it all just seems so dated. How we overcompensated with a pantomime. A pantomime. Too many times in too many ways I should have shown you who I am. Instead of fighting, instead of chasing something borrowed. Out of pain and into sight, until we meet again one summer in a life of our own design. I guess you'd rather be elsewhere, elsewhere. Far away, the city lights are frozen in a golden sunset by the clouds that wait up so high. I guess you'd rather be elsewhere, elsewhere, elsewhere. Tinker, tailor, tired in the middle. Inspiration starts to whittle while the shuttle, loom, and spindle are without a care, without a care. Well, a stitch in time is oh so second fiddle when you're blinded by the riddle of all things both big and little, and it's everywhere. It's everywhere. Could you come back from far away so I can show you who I am? Here's one for trying, one for favors, one for sorrow. Out of pain and into sight, until we meet again one summer in a life of our own design. I guess you'd rather be elsewhere, elsewhere. Far away, the city lights are frozen in a golden sunset by the clouds that wait up so high. I guess you'd rather be elsewhere, elsewhere, elsewhere. I should have shown you who I am instead of fighting. Elsewhere, elsewhere.
My three, ladies and gentlemen!